Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg. Well, I am currently intrigued with a segment of the population within this segment of older adults known as super agers. Super agers are people over 90 who seem to defy everything we know about the natural course of aging and have the memory recall, the physical agility, and the mental acuity of a much younger person. Our guests today are mother and daughter Gayle and Mildred Kirschenbaum. Now, here's a little backstory. Mildred Kirschenbaum, a spirited dynamo who turned 101 on August 25th. So happy birthday, Mildred, has
Thank you.
gained renown as a viral life advisor and social media influencer, offering straightforward yet profound insights for a gratifying life. Her daughter, Gayle Kirschenbaum, is with us today and has been instrumental in disseminating her mother's wisdom. Gayle, in her own right, is an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, TV producer, writer, speaker, photographer, and forgiveness coach. Her critically acclaimed film, Look at Us Now, Mother, is about the transformation of a highly charged mother-daughter relationship from hatred to love. It's Gayle's story. It has been screened globally and premiered on Netflix and is credited with transforming lives. Welcome, Mildred and Gayle.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering about our vanishing appearance. Since we're using a virtual background, you think we should just get rid of it?
Well, I think you're doing okay together or get rid of it, whatever works.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have to squeeze her tight because we
Yeah,
have to be like one person.
Whoa.
How's that?
that's
Squeeze you
great.
tight, Mom? Do you like that?
Put your arms around me, honey. Hold me tight.
All right, I'm holding you tight. Oh, that's
Uh-uh.
weird. Okay. I guess it's the two-person thing you said, but okay, let's
Yeah.
see. If
Okay.
it gets really too bad, we'll just go into the
Okay.
background, which is not very interesting.
So you have a new book out, Mildred's Mindset, Wisdom from a Woman's Centenarian, and we're going to talk about the book. But first off, it's a 101-year epic history that brought us here today. So Gayle, you shared in a recent article in Women's World how you and your mother had decades of a rocky relationship and a business trip that took together opened the door for forgiveness. Tell us about that.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say it was the business trip. We had, I would say we got off to a bad start when she found out she gave birth to Gail and not Gary, because she told everyone Gary was coming home from the hospital. So, and this is all in the
That
film.
was a misinterpretation. Anyone who has two boys wants a girl. And I took a saliva test. I'll tell you how stupid I am. It's 50% right. So it came out I'm going to have another boy.
50, so I'm not good in math. She always says I'm not. I was born in a numbers family.
And
but
so I picked out the name Gary. I was delighted to have a girl. And that was her misinterpretation.
Was it? You told every 50%, I'm not good at math, but I know what 50% means. Anyway,
Normally,
they can
people who
all,
have two boys get a third boy.
but some people on a spectrum of a certain personality do better with sons than they do with daughters, because daughters, when they arrive, competition shows up. And I experienced
Boys
that.
are easier to raise.
Right. Well, if you watch the movie, she says, I was a bitchy little girl. Look at that. This is kind of interesting how I go into this background. I fade. And I must have been like 3 or so. And yeah, so we got off to a really bad start and it continued for a long time. And I don't know if you believe this or your listeners believe this. I am the youngest of 3 children. I had my elder brother passed, unfortunately, but we were each spaced 4 years apart. So there was an 8-year difference between me and my older brother. And I felt like I was an old soul born into a family of new souls. So I knew when I had this relentless criticisms targeted at me and this rage and anger that I wasn't doing anything wrong, that something had to have happened in my mom's life in her childhood. And a little girl, I used to ask her brother, Uncle Sonny, what happened to mommy when she was little? But I never got any answers. They're of the secret generation, so you don't hang out your dirty laundry. Oops. As my grandmother said, when you laugh, the world laughs with you. When you cry alone.
Mhm.
So it took, so then I went off to LA and I had a very great career in the entertainment business. And it was like I had two lives, because I'd be on the Today Show in the New York Times, I'd win awards for my films, and then I'd go home to visit, and it was the same thing, the criticisms, the bullying, of which my brothers joined in. They started when they were young, kind of trained to do so, and continued through adult life. And I became the child who was the victim, was like victim on my forehead, scapegoat. And I would get super, this is so weird. If this is bothering you, I'll just take the background
Let's
off.
just keep going because we're recording.
Okay.
We can cut
Okay.
everything
So
out.
anyway, it turned out that I realized it wasn't until I hit middle age that I was like I had two lives, and I knew that the only way, I dreaded seeing my family. I dreaded going home. I dreaded family vacations. I called one cruise the cruise from hell. I must have cried the whole time from an incident because I'm an empath. I'm super sensitive. So everything impacts me greatly. It's great for being a creative, but everyday life, you feel everybody's pain, not just your own. And you might understand this, Patricia.
I
And
do. I do.
yeah,
Mhm.
right. So, and some others are quite the reverse. They don't realize they're hurting and offending people, and you could say and do anything. The fact that she participated in this movie, people are like, oh, you're so lucky, but it doesn't have the emotional impact on her as it would other people. So anyway, I went on, just to cut to the chase, I went on this journey to forgive her. My father died in 2006, and I was here helping her out. It was the first time she was alone, at which point I got an invite to go to France with one of my movies. And she said, I'm coming with you. And I thought, how do I say no? She's a world traveler. She owned a travel agency. She traveled with my father. She's alone. I told my father when he was dying, he was in a coma. I said, Dad, you got to let go. I'll take care of mom. I knew I would be the one taking care of her. And I said, okay. And did a deep swallow, and everybody in the family thought we'd come home not speaking. But that was definitely the beginning of a turning point because she entered my life, saw my world, and we're both big travelers. So yes, that was a long answer for a
No,
short question.
it's completely it opens up the whole story of what happens. And people say mother and daughter relationships are always complicated, but there's often what happened to precede it, and how many children do you have? I'm one of five. I'm in the middle of five, and I completely understand how different kids get different attention from different types of attention from the parents. So it's very interesting. Um,
And that differential treatment towards children and towards your siblings,
mhm.
it impacts your sibling relationships.
Yes, it
So I was
does.
never
Yes, it
close
does.
to either brother. They were like a team against me, and they were very close to each other.
And so, Mildred, let me ask you, what's your perception of this?
Um, I feel, well, Gail is very sensitive. And there was no time in my life that I didn't love her. There was no time in my life that I wouldn't give her my ears if I had to. Gail had selective hearing. If I called Gail, if she chose to answer, she did. If she didn't choose to answer, she didn't. And, it's like beauty is in the eyes of the beholden.
Let me ask you something as a parent in those days. I'm in my 60s, and my parents parented us completely different than the way I parented my daughter. And even within um, our family, my husband's 77 and I'm 63, and we parent very differently. And is some of it has to do obviously with generational. My husband's European, I'm American. There's a lot of little things that come up. So Mildred, I know as a parent, you try to do the best for your child, and sometimes your criticisms and things that come off as harsh to the child are your way of trying to help them. So have you two come to that place now where you've explained to her why you parented the way you did, and Gail's able to explain to you why she responded the way she did, and you've worked through it?
Well, one of my pet peeves was, you wouldn't know looking at Gail, but she has very curly hair. And it was up to here, out to here, and down to here. So it was always, put your hair back, put your hair back, you know?
Yeah,
I
when we
think
were teenagers, that was cool. I mean, that's what we did in those days.
I have,
right?
she was having my hair straightened since third grade. I felt if there was a God, I was cursed. I actually, this is unusual. I had my color done and they actually ironed it. I do have very curly hair. But yeah, many of the arguments were about how I looked, my hair. She wanted me to have a nose job,
all the
Well,
arguments were about her,
my parents.
her appearance, all the arguments. But I will tell you one thing, and I think Gail will agree. I would rather go on vacation with Gail than anyone, because we go with the flow. We really do. I think Gail would rather go to happy hour with me than, am I right? Than anyone else. We move with the flow. If we go to the bar happy hour, if I go with a friend and I talk to someone on my left, she gets all huffy and puffy, but not Gail. If I talk to someone on my left, Gail tunes in. We're just having a conversation.
She's
So
very
you're-
outgoing, but I want to answer your question, Patricia.
Mhm.
So I always, I'm a forgiveness coach, and I always tell people it takes one person, not necessarily to reconcile, but to find forgiveness, that we find forgiveness for ourselves. It doesn't mean we condone the behavior. It doesn't mean we forget. None of those things. We have to reframe how we look at that person. So I really did the work alone, quite honestly. And what I did was I reframed how I looked at her. I dug into my mom's past, of which she never shared. Everything was, I don't know, I don't remember. I found relatives. I did genealogy research. I saw all the hardships of her childhood. Her father attempted suicide twice. He was more or less depressed in bed. Her mother had to roll up her sleeves and start a business to
He
support the children.
attempted suicide because he in those days he had a $2,000 policy, and that was a lot of money,
She's talking life insurance.
Yeah, yeah.
And his business went down. They owned the stable. It burnt, no insurance. So he figured if he dies, my mother will get $2,000 and she'll have money to live on.
And that circles right back to what I was talking about. People make decisions thinking they're helping you when they're actually hurting you, and they don't always know they're doing that. And that's where what you two have done beautifully is figured out, the source of the behavior, not condoning it, not saying it's okay, but understanding where it comes from.
So I want your viewers and listeners to know, because people say, I'm so lucky. I forgave my mother years before she ever acknowledged she did anything wrong. She only acknowledged it when she turned 99 and made a video for Yom Kippur, which was about forgiveness.
Mhm.
So you don't need the other person. We do the work ourselves. I dug into her past. I knew I needed to reframe how I looked at her. I needed to take her off the pedestal of a mother who should love and nurture me, which I witnessed her doing to my brothers. And of course, I was walking around like Cinderella. And once I saw her as
you always have beautiful clothes.
that's not what I mean emotionally. Yes, but
Cinderella wore rags.
But I didn't care about what I wore. I was like her doll to dress up. I was in fabrics, organdy with rashes everywhere. But as long as I look good, she can show me off. Okay. Anyway, the bottom line is, when I saw her as a wounded child, when I saw she really never had a childhood, and I saw her, and when the criticisms were continuing, I just I changed my expectations, because what gets us so upset is unfulfilled expectations. So I no longer saw her as my mother. Why are you loving and giving to my brothers, and I'm like having to do this, and I felt like the little slave. They rolled off of me. When the criticisms, and so when they don't have impact on the person anymore, the person who's launching them, sending them, you depower that person they stop eventually, because they're not having impact. And that's how I transformed our relationship. And now with this mother-daughter duo.
And my mother lost a child to pneumonia. Today, she would have gotten penicillin and been okay. So she became a helicopter mother. I was accepted to Hunter High. She will let me go on the train to school. In those days, Juilliard was not what Juilliard is today. It was a little school that opened up. Remember, I'm 101.
Yeah.
I was accepted there. She wouldn't let me go on the train. She watched every move I made to a point where I was,
Yeah, that's infantilizing to a child, and a kid who gets into Hunter Elementary or gets into Juilliard is huge. That a parent, how we would look at that, a parent should move mountains to make sure that kid gets into that school. And to be prevented from doing that, what was the impact it had on you? You felt choked? You felt suffocated?
no, I realized my mother had a hard life. I really did. There are things I wanted to do. I wanted to, I went to college at night. I went to work so they wouldn't have to support me. I went to college at night, never got the degree because I had to carry some weight. I couldn't wait. I couldn't have my mother work and support me. That
And
was my thought.
And
Right.
how old were you when you got married?
Well, the laugh of the century. In my day, if you wanted sex, you got married.
No.
I am so sure that there are so many people you don't know about that were having sex that
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
get married.
I got married, I was 18.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, that's the ultimate myth, that people are not having sex until they get married, no matter the generation, right?
Exactly, right.
I
So,
don't know how many of my age did. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I doubt if you do.
yeah. Yeah.
Because it was instilled to us. Don't give the milk till he buys the cow.
Right.
All these
Right.
expressions,
You used to tell me that.
So,
So now, so really the crux of what's going on right now is you're 101, and thank God you're here and you're doing well. And
by the way, I'm her financial advisor.
I know I have a question about that, so I'm thrilled to have that. So turning 100 for you marked the commencement of your literary journey with your debut book, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And you're very positive, and it's wonderful. I mean, most people forget 101 or 91 or 81 or doing nowhere near what you did. And I want to ask you, tell me what drives you every day. So when you get up in the morning, you physically feel good. You feel like you can get out of bed and face the day. And
I'm not going to directly answer your question.
Okay.
But I'm going to say to you, it's attitude. It's attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Patience. Not everyone understands what you're saying. They're not doing it deliberately. It's just beyond their comprehension. So attitude and patience makes a big difference.
But when you wake up in the morning, do you have aches and pains?
Not basically. God has been good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patricia, these are more fashion glasses. I can't see without these.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything for reading. Mom, can you read this? We're 30. I turned 70 this year. So in
Mazel
December.
tov. Mazel
Thank
tov.
you.
That's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Mm-hmm.
I asked her to read things for me. Her hearing, my friends.
I read the menu to her.
Yeah.
And no glasses, no hearing aids. Amazing.
Right. I'm surrounded by friends who are putting in their hearing aids or denying they need one.
Yeah.
She can hear everything.
Amazing.
Her sense of smell is better than any dog I know.
Right.
Gail, your neighbor turned on his greasy oven. She was right. All her senses are so sharp. I would say the only thing is her mobility has been challenged. She fell when actually was in Europe and took that picture behind us.
Yeah.
And she fractured her shoulder,
Mhm.
and COVID kicked in right after. She didn't have the proper therapy because of COVID. But I think mentally it put fear in her. So
Yes.
she's afraid of falling again and
Because-
now walks with teeny steps and bends over a little.
I look down, not,
Yeah.
She's afraid of falling, so that it's mentally, that's I think where her fear has set in, but in general, she's pretty fearless. And I would say resilience. Very excited about, there's so much to do. You know, we're still traveling the world. You
Yeah.
know, we're leaving in November on another cruise.
Mildred, according to science and what we know, as you can see, I write books about aging and I write books about how lifestyle choices affect it. And one thing, the one nut we haven't cracked is how the outliers are faring. And you're absolutely an outlier. The average age in the United States for most people is late 70s, early 80s. And it's not to scare anyone. It's just what we're seeing is the average lifespan. But people are living longer. Do you feel like an oddball? Do you feel like the outlier that you're described as?
no, because more and more people are living longer.
Okay.
And that changes even my political view.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
like with the Supreme Court, there should be a term limit. When they were put on the bench, they lived to 60.
Right. Right.
Not everyone lives to 80 or 90 and has all their marbles.
Right. That's a very, very, and side subject, which we won't spend too much time on, but it's in the not too distant past, there were people were forced to retire at 65, that they were pushed out of their jobs and there was no legal recourse, that you could actually be shown the door whenever they felt like getting rid of you. And that's starting to change, but it's still there. So it's very interesting you're saying that about term limits and about people's capabilities as they get older. I think
Yeah.
one of the things that, I wanted to ask you about when I ask about how you feel about your age in relationship to other people is the way people treat older people. Ageism, as we know, is pervasive in our society. There's self-ageism, and there's ageism towards people just making an assumption. Gayle, that's such a profound, profound thing that you said, that people assume she's going to need reading glasses and Mildred's going to need hearing aids, and she doesn't. She's helping you read, and there's a lot to be said for that people need to stop making assumptions, treat every human being like an individual, and find out what it is they need, what it is they're capable. What is your superpower? Everybody's got one, and should be viewed. And that's why I ask you, Mildred, how you looking in, how you see that. Do you feel like every day you look around and say, how much longer do I have? Or you don't think about it?
I don't think about it.
Mhm.
I'm not a fool. I know back in my mind, how long could I live? 6 months, a year and a half. But I don't,
People,
but,
fans are
but
saying
wait a minute,
120.
Yeah.
but I don't think about it.
Mhm.
And I happen to be very, very, very fortunate. I live in a gated community. We have a clubhouse where I play bridge, canasta, mahjong, and obviously I play with people a minimum of 20 years younger than I am. And they call me. It's not they avoid me because they have too many hands, they tell me to stay home. They call me. Now, I sent a message. Today's Wednesday. I play on Tuesday. Gayle came in Tuesday and I wanted to go to Costco, and I had a full day of things I wanted to prepare for her. So if she comes in, she has something to eat or whatever. So I pulled out of the game. And the first thing was, are you okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
She drives.
Not that
Yeah.
they're happy to get rid of me.
Right.
And
So-
I had the nerve in January to buy a new car. I don't want to deal with
Things going wrong in a
things
car.
going wrong in the car.
So she's still, and it's techie. She's got an iPhone,
Okay.
an iPad, a computer. She shoots a lot of the videos we post. I edit them. The car has CarPlay, or I think it's called
Oh,
CarPlay. So she
Yes.
had to learn how to do the phone and her apps
I
for
know how to
directions.
drive, but I don't know.
She had to learn all
That's
the electronics. She
amazing.
doesn't have a fear. So here, she doesn't have a fear of learning. She's
Okay.
always learning new things. Now, I just want to give you, we're leaving Friday for Orlando to celebrate her birthday with family there. So we're going out to dinner on Saturday night, and I was on the phone with my niece and nephew. They want to plan Saturday. So they're like, well, we can go to J.C. Penney's and take a family photo, or they have a thing where you can paint or hang out at home. And then they said, or go out on a boat. My nephew belongs to one of these shared boat things,
Okay.
I don't know what you call it. And they're going, oh no, that's going to be too much for grandma. So I said, you know what? Let me go in the room and get grandma on the phone. And we ran down the list, and she says, well, what about the boat? Let's do the boat.
Right.
That she still has a thirst for new experiences and
Mhm.
to have fun and to travel. I think
Why at
curiosity.
101, why do I want to sit in the room to paint?
Absolutely. I think it's amazing.
Or why do I want to take a cooking lesson?
So Mildred, you
Relax at the water.
She
you
wants,
had a,
you
you had
want to
a
relax on the water. That's what she
yes, no, I think it's
With a
amazing.
glass of wine in my hand.
Yeah, there you go. Now you had a travel agency for many years, so you've traveled the world. And how do you feel that travel affected you and share with the audience what travel does for you in your life? How
I
does
don't know
it
what it
enhance your
does.
life?
Huh?
How does it
It,
enhance your life?
it gave me the opportunity. Well, number one, my husband and I traveled quite a bit before I went into the business. When I went into the agency and I laid out my trip, they said, you ought to come work for me. And that's how I started.
Oh, wow.
Right. It's if I had Sabbath observers, I knew how to pick a trip that they won't get hijacked for money, one that will be in a certain place over the Sabbath. I knew how to work it out.
What about for you? I mean, what did travel do for you? How did it enhance and change your life?
And how does it? Because you're
And
still
how does
traveling.
it? Because you're still continuing. Yeah.
Why do you travel? What do you get out of traveling?
Pleasure. You meet different people from all walks of life.
Mhm.
I will say one thing. When I went with my husband, we stayed at the Hilton, the Four Seasons. When I went with Gail, we stay at bed and breakfast.
I taught her the bed and breakfast travel where you meet people who are traveling.
Yes.
She fought me like cats and dogs that first time because there was no air conditioning in Provence. And she's, I'm only staying where there's air conditioning. By the time we get done with our stay in this gorgeous B&B, it was an old paper mill that was
Yes,
converted.
yes.
We
Wow.
already stayed in every room because she complained she was too hot, but she had a great time because at breakfast you meet people. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
social. She's very social.
Yes, because at that particular B&B, everyone was like to themselves.
Yeah.
So one
Yeah.
day I said to Gail, let's go marketing. We bought some food and there's a big table and I let out a yell in my voice where you could hear me without a megaphone. Hey, everyone, come on down, bring your food to the table. Let's have dinner together, remember? And we had a ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a ball together.
It creates opportunities. That's why I'll tell you the truth. She was also my favorite travel partner because we wanted to go down a local bus or eat off a local kiosk or take the back roads, not filled with fear. I know so many people and she's never exhausted. She always had a very bad stomach, We'd wake up in India or wherever we were in the world, and she'd be in the bathroom throwing up, coming out at all ends, whatever. She'd come out and she'd go, I'm not done yet. I'm going back in. She'd do her business in the bathroom. She goes, okay, one more time. I'm going back in. She goes, okay, now I'm ready. I had a boyfriend years ago. If he had a tummy ache, he stayed in the hotel the whole day. The day was over. She's so resilient. Nothing stops her. She will get on the bus with, now she has what she calls the leaky bladder, and she talks about in her book how just pack the extra pads.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, don't let it stop you from living life and having new experiences. And then there's something exciting. And so she's, I started traveling when I was 15. I went to Europe the first time, not with my family. But
Why did you go? I sent her on an art study tour.
well, here it was. I was turning 16. I had three choices, either the Sweet 16 party, the nose job, or a teen tour. And I found a teen tour, which was called Paint in Italy.
Oh.
And I was an artist, so that was a no-brainer. But you did threaten to cancel it, constantly going, I'm canceling the trip and you're having a nose job. But I made it over there without the nose job.
Yeah, and that's how it starts, is that you take that one trip and you get home and you survive it, and that
Yeah.
you learn it's amazing. And one of the things that I think we live in such a fear-based world and a fear-based society and all the craziness going on in the world. And I think the bottom line is you just got to go out there, you got to take your chances, enjoy your life every single day. So Mildred, I
Yeah.
want to move on to the
That
book.
doesn't mean you walk in front of a bus. You have to be
Of
smart.
course, you still have to be cautious. And one of the things I read, I just was traveling all over the world. I just got back and now I'm off again. I'm going in the next couple of weeks. I'll be traveling, and I keep reading these things: what to do when you're solo, and what not to do in a hotel, and watch out for pickpockets. And there's a whole industry selling bags that lean against your body. At some point, just don't be stupid. Don't bring a lot with you. Learn about where you're going, and be smart. And but I just love that you'll go. You'll go and you'll say, we'll cope. So the air conditioning doesn't work, or we don't love the room, but let's just enjoy it and embrace what that trip has to.
Now, I will give you one tip if you don't know. I'm not talking about real jewelry, not at all. Don't take your fake diamond earrings, because the fellow on the street doesn't know they're fake.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go after you. Keep everything simple,
Right.
simple.
Right. Simple clothes, simple jewelry. Don't bring that kind of attention to yourself. The ugly American.
I remember years ago, there was a time they crocheted rings and was a dome and it had little rhinestones in it. And I was walking with my sister-in-law in the back streets of somewhere in Spain. And the ring is sparkling. I said, do me a favor, Ruth. You have two choices. Don't walk with me, or take that ring off, put it in your pocket, or throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
Right. Exactly. And they're looking for you. Mildred, your book is out, and I think you're starting a book tour now. Mildred's Mindset: Wisdom from a Woman Centenarian. And you tell your story in pictures, which I think speaks to all ages. And the nice thing about that is younger people, because they're the Instagram social media generation, they respond to pictures. So do you look at the photos the same way the audience does and say, wow, I've lived a great life. This is amazing. Do you have that feeling about it when you look at your life and your work and do you look back and say, wow, I've lived the most amazing life?
No.
How do you view it?
I don't have a straight answer.
Okay.
She actually, when I was organizing the book, she felt I had too many pictures in there. And I felt, and I know from social media, people love seeing pictures of her.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the pictures?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm asking. I have photo albums all over my house. I'm trying to think, when we downsize or move, what I'm going to do from the day I have one child and I have three stepchildren, and we just have, and all the dogs have baby books. Tons and tons, and it really tells the story. And when you meet someone new and you look back, and I see you at 101, and see you at 70 and at 50, and then as a little girl, and it really does tell the whole picture. It's very moving, and it's very it says this person lived this whole life, and at one point in your life, you were doing something completely different. There was a time in your life when you're a young, sexy chick, like you said, and you want sex, and you want to live, and you want to be out in the world. And these different stages in our lives, I think, educate people in and help prevent the ageism and say that this is the cycle of life. It's natural, it's normal. It's not a disease to get older. It's not a thing to be avoided. It's part of the whole process, and it's the big picture, and it shows the big picture. That's
Well,
what
you know what the alternative is if you don't want to get old.
Yeah. And that's what photographs do, along with text, of course, but it's just such a wonderful way to see somebody's life. And what I love too about what you're doing now is that you are really doing what we are trying in the aging space, is to pull multi-generations together and to bring people together and say that someone in their 70s and someone 101, and then your grandchildren, you can all do things together and enjoy the experience, not just as a family, but as a human being at different ages in your life. You're having that together. You're enjoying the newness of it together, that whether it's a sunset, the sun rises and sets every day, but every single day when we go and see it, it moves us. And that's at any age. And I think showing the family together shows that. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. I want to ask you something I didn't prepare for. How do you feel about outliving a child?
It shouldn't happen. My husband is buried up north. I will go to the grave. I cannot go to my son's.
Mhm.
When I lost my husband, it changed my entire way of life. When I lost my son, I lost a piece of my heart. I cannot go. It's not normal for a parent to stand at a child's grave.
How old are your grandchildren?
And it's not normal to hold the hand of a child when he comes into this world and the hand when he leaves the world.
Yeah.
And I am very lucky with my grandchildren. I'm very lucky with my children, with my daughter Gayle and Robert. Now we go to the next generation. I'm very lucky with my grandchildren. I am very lucky with my great-grandchildren. Come on. They go to camp, they'll text me, or they'll call me, find out how I am. And my grandchildren, I guess they know what I am. They sent me a birthday gift. Instead of flowers, they sent me a big basket that has 3 bottles of fine, fine red wine
That's great.
and all sorts of goodies in there.
And do they follow you on Instagram? Are they pleased that they have a famous grandmother and great grandmother?
Oh, yeah. You know what I tell the little ones? You want me to come up north and you could take me to school for show and tell?
Yeah. That's great. That's certainly different. Mildred, with just always so much to talk about. And what are the basic life skills and strategies you want the world to know that keep you alert, alive, and engaged at any age? What are those just little things that you do throughout the day to just keep you in?
Well, look, number one, let's be practical.
Mhm.
Yesterday is gone. Today is here. And nobody knows what happens tomorrow. You have one chance and one road. Enjoy every step. You cannot look back. You cannot be a Monday morning quarterback.
Right. That's beautiful advice. I think that's really spot on. There's nothing you could do about the past, and the only thing you can do is deal with today and deal with it happily and enthusiastically. Mildred, I read.
And be outgoing. Look, Gayle had a boyfriend. So I text him because he would text me from time to time to find out how I am.
She has a crush on him.
Uh,
No, I don't. How can I have a
He's good on the arm.
how can I have a crush on someone who dyes his hair, had four facelifts?
Ooh, but he went to Stanford.
Oh, wait.
He's
So I
trying.
said, are you taking me out for my 101st birthday? He says, I am.
She's gonna get gussied up for tonight's dinner.
Very nice. Very nice.
I'll be the third wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're having it celebrating tonight. That's wonderful. Mildred, I read that you manage your own financial portfolio. So what advice do you have to the listeners who struggle with this and help them?
Okay.
How do we help them through the fear of money and finances as they age? What do you?
Number one, there are 3 parts to it.
Mhm.
I have made your money with 2 different brokerage houses. You have to get to know your broker. One I ditched because if he's buying and selling and buying and selling, it's not to my advantage. So I went to a group. The other one will call me, wish me a happy birthday, and won't buy and sell. He'll say, you have so much cash around. What do you want to do with it, Mildred? You want to keep it or what? And I'll give him some advice. But then I had a certain amount of money that I went into E-Trade, where you do your own trading. And I worked it up to 4 times the amount there. Now, Gayle sold property in California and gave her money to a money advisor. She gave me a list so big. 3 shares of this, 2 shares of that, 3 shares of that. I didn't know how to tackle it, but slowly I consolidated and I tripled or quadrupled her money.
Wow.
I
Wow.
took a big hit from this person who was for the rich and famous in LA.
Mhm.
And I sold my home in Santa Monica. And I crept out of there with a big loss. And then I said, Mom, see what you could do with this.
Amazing. Can
Took
I
a
hire
number of
you,
years
Mildred?
ago.
Are you for hire right now?
No, I do it for fun and games.
I think
You
it's
know what I tell people, and I want everyone to know this.
okay.
Play with your head, not your emotion. Don't do anything you cannot afford.
Mhm.
If you're buying a stock and it goes belly up, you can afford to lose it. If you're not sure, buy a small amount and see how it works.
Mhm.
Play with your head. That's how so many people went on margin and they called the margin, and I'm sure you've heard it.
Oh, yeah.
And before you knew it, they had nothing. They couldn't cover margin.
Right.
The biggest thing is, and I think I said it 5 times, I'll take it, play with your head.
It's amazing that and you're approaching it with thoughtfulness, and that's what, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, that people are thinking with their emotions or their fears, or they're desperate for money, or desperate. There's the get rich quick schemes. They're not thinking it through. So that's actually very, very good advice. Mildred, I want to go ahead, Gail. I'm
I
sorry.
just to say she has loved doing investing, because I must have been 3 years old and we were in the car. And back in the day when the stock
Ticker
market,
tape.
it would be the sound of a ticker tape that was
Yeah.
going off on the radio, which
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was when I was very young, but I knew I didn't like the sound. And then we pull up and go in the house, and she'd tell my father she's buying 100 shares. And I'm like, why would we having a party? And it was for shares. But she loved it since she was quite young.
Amazing. So you have a whole lifetime of learning it. That's
Yes.
fantastic. Mildred, what do you say to younger people who aren't taking care of themselves? This is the big question that we think we live in a health and fitness society, and everybody's aware of all the things we should be doing to be well, but yet we're not well as a society. Younger people are not taking care of themselves in the way, even what we know now. The older people are being a little more conscious as they figure maybe it adds a few more years to my life, or I'll feel better as I get older. So what do you say to these young people who are just saying, I don't care, I'm going to eat what I want and do whatever I want and
To
whatever
everyone, I say, listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows your body better than you do. If you're tired, lie down, take a rest. If something is bothering you with your stomach, don't keep secrets
Right,
from the
right,
doctor.
right.
He's not a mind reader.
Well,
He
that's
can
the
help
yeah,
you.
that's the problem. The problem is that a lot of people think that lying about their age and not coming clean about, what's going on in their lives is actually very, very harmful. Hmm.
Yes.
Mildred,
There's so much
Be
age
astute
discrimination.
about your body.
yeah,
Yeah.
You could be harboring a cancer because you didn't want to share something with your doctor.
So I just want you to know, my mom used to lie about her age for years. In fact, she lied to me when she was turning 85. And I thought it was 83. My brother said, "What are we doing for mom's birthday for her 85?" I said, "She's turning 83." She didn't like when I told anybody my age because it made her look older. So she
Mhm.
says, "You're 29, you haven't aged since." But once she got up there and is in such great condition, she wears her age like a badge of honor now.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And
But
that's
there's
a
so much
wonderful thing. And
age.
that's societal. We had to lie about it, a lot of people, because
Yes.
otherwise you were discriminated against. And that's
Big
a very
time.
real thing. Yeah. Yeah.
In
So
the
now
entertainment business.
people are proud. And I think it's wonderful. And you're at the head of the curve of people accepting their age. You're the pioneer. You are the trendsetter of getting people to say, we're here, we're old, get used to it. Okay. We're going to be here, and many of us are going to live longer, and society is skewing towards older ages, and it's absolutely wonderful. Mildred, what feels different about, say, 60 or 80 and 101?
Nothing. Nothing. I don't get up and say, oh, I'm 101
Mhm.
or oh, I'm 80.
Is there anything you wish you could do over again?
Yes. I roll the clock back with Gail and come to some sort of a understanding early in her life.
And
And
go ahead.
and tell her when I objected to her here, up to here and down to here and down to there. I love you, but your hair could look better or something. I try to find the words so she wouldn't feel the animosity she felt all through the years.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's
My book is
yeah,
coming out next year.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, you both have so much to share and, continue to share it. It's absolutely amazing. This has just been, Mildred and Gail, both of you, I wish you both health and
Thank
happiness
you.
for many, many years to come, and
And I
blessings.
wish you health and
Days.
Yeah.
Thank
happiness.
you. And for more information, please go out and get the book, Mildred's Mindset, Wisdom from a Woman's Centenarian. And to follow their ongoing journey on Instagram, you go to GL Kirschenbaum, GLKAIRSHENBAUM, and we will also post that on the link to our show on YouTube. Gail and Mildred, I'd like you to tell me individually. I want to ask both of you, what do you like about getting older?
I feel like I'm just getting started, you know? I feel so lucky that I have my health and there's so many things I need and want to accomplish. I wake up, there's never enough hours in the day, starting new careers, starting new adventures. So I'm loving it, and knock on wood, I'm in great shape. maybe I'm following in my mom's tracks. Haven't been living on pharmaceuticals or anything like that, but a huge curiosity about life and to learn, to travel and to do new things. So I'm excited. I don't feel I look in the mirror and I go, okay, I see all the wrinkles or whatever, but I'm like, I thought it's 70, you're decrepit.
No.
So I feel very, very lucky.
Yeah, that's great.
And
Mildred,
I
what
miss,
do you like
I
about
miss one thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a doctor, it's very easy for him to take out a prescription pad.
Yeah.
And send you home with more pharmaceuticals. Ask him point blank, what's the alternative? If your cholesterol is high, what's the alternative? I take very little, very, very little. Practically, I think I take one pharmaceutical a day. And that's it.
That's fantastic. And that
I look for alternatives.
right. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that you look for ways to take care of yourself and empower yourself to not become reliant on the medical field caring for you and actually diminishing you. So that's absolutely
There are
amazing.
so many people, so many people. I have a friend from Beta Blocker. She was allergic. She nearly died.
Yeah.
They give them medicines without
Right.
thinking.
Well, I've had it. I mean, I just went and a few months ago, and he said my cholesterol is high and he wanted to put me on a statin drug. I said, give me time. I'll come back in 6 months. The same, my pressure got after October 7th, shot up and got high. And I'm like, I'm going to do other things. So I don't want to start I'm not anti-drugs, of course, if you have a infection or something, but I want to start other ways because I'm very much mind, body, spirit. I got sick when I made the movie because I relived my childhood diaries and I developed an autoimmune disease that came out through my hands, the skin. In 4 years, Western medicine couldn't do anything. They wanted to put me on Humira. And I said, nope, even try the Chinese herbs. And then I realized the emotional connection to it. And I learned tapping and meditating. And within a month, my skin was back after 4 years of wearing gloves. So so much is up here. So
Yeah.
I just want to let your audience know that, yeah, the book is not in the stores.
Okay.
It's only online. So it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble. But if they go to our website, gailekirschenbaum.com/books, it's really the site for the book and everything. There's articles, all the media our mom's gotten, the book events, and then it will lead you to the places to buy it and the best places and whatnot.
And again, hopefully your sales will continue to skyrocket. So again, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. It's been so informative and so wonderful, and to be continued. And Gayle, I'm going to keep coming at you, and Mildred, I'm going to keep coming at you too to hear about you're my role models going forward. You're a little bit ahead of me, and I want to follow.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. I want to follow in your footsteps. And in closing, I want to thank you all so much for joining us here and for listening. I'm Patricia Greenberg, and the show is Age Well. And for more information or to reach out for topics and feedback, you please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can contact me at www.patriciagreenberg.com. And again, thank you both so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.